Private Living, Rio de Janeiro City, Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We make our movement today, and we are reporting things we did and yesterday. We have in mind what was made, and what was made by law as a mandatory need. We will check that our journey, I would say, had begun on 1999, and we had the first work about laundering money and prevention, and sometimes the misperception about one specific Italian theory can, put things weird. And this misperception sets the confusion at the institutional application of the law and leads to ativism. And the increasement as ativism beyond the frontiers of possibility as scientific segments as knowledge will create a big mess. And if you take advantage of all scientific segments and areas, the integration as a big mess is a conjuncture as itself. If it goes from institutional application of the law, it's the application of the law oriented by a mess as purpose. It's approved by logic, fact, circumstance, and not existence as legal accomplishment. Then we will check that we had the analysis as systemic crime, so efforts had the publishment, was published, and the economic financial control didn't happen, but we made it anyway. It's a touchdown. And then when I was having a prospection by email, trying to keep the dignity of the work, not considering the payment by works made, especially when we can observe how bad things are until this time. And when we suffered so much aggression, especially on our private living, because we can't go anywhere, the corruption in America, you had the circles of security to protect the pictures that you need to protect, like the president or your society, groups. Here is the opposite. You set circles, corrupting them until you get it, the variable that you need. You corrupt your social circle, your family, your work, your everything, until you make it sometimes an entrance in your space, your do not authorize the access of your machine, clone your personality, and you say that's it. It's how things are because we are amazing. But when you do this sometimes at the main account, you affect the interests. Big, huge, international, global. And we can consider request a judicial analysis in an area with judicial failure, especially against the interest that was hurted by this kind of failure, integrated by the words of the Constitution in one specific area. And we decide to observe the law, present the case, observing this local law at the international jurisdiction, as for instance USA, by the interests on it, and the facts, evidence, all things proved by the local law to be under the analysis of the judicial system, America, which is international. And it's not related with integrated failures at this judicial system without capacity to have a fair analysis about this kind of thing. We put the corruption on institutional level away. And we request, for instance, warrant as protection, the first thing, as interest for or to do a charge, and the interest as itself is a moral entity, which is a creditor committee. And to research the levels as failure, since, for instance, the integration of governmental failure, corporative failure, state failure, which implies the failure at your state defense, that's paramilitary. Integrated all around, you have a clandestine army in global scale and can, for instance, track the frontiers and the homeland all around, especially if you had a unique central command about this kind of clandestine mobilization by corruption affecting even your judicial power as a state power and military defense. See? It's the pandemic crime even ongoing. And we suggested to have the analysis as a police by NATO doing this kind of regression. We have two areas as frontiers of possibility that will kind of set a space here in a free zone area. We put two both at this free zone area with a firewall as CIA and KGB, for instance, and we'll do this regression. I will have my segment A, my segment B, capital letter, failures, for instance, A and B are not capital letter, are failure, and combine it as a common purpose, which is C. Under the firewall review, if I'm trying to do things in a new business or something like this by Mintzberg structure or legal, they kind of, or with integrity, I will not have tolerance with this kind of failure, which is a current problem named blind eye association or international corruption, organizing and preparing the local corruption schemes on institutional level to serve and act along and very according with this kind of mobilization in global scale for criminal purpose, even in a deeper level as offensive against all states by corruption, which is the paramilitary organization. And you do violations of basic rights, guarantee, exploitation, operating by trust, with diffusification of things. We had the model as analysis, financial service yesterday. All effort, at least since 2018, under threats, risks, and possibility as violation that are under the analysis of the judicial system USA, if confirmed, requesting the criminal conviction of all and application of the law and punishment, considering the levels and the distribution of criminal power at those institutions. This is a causal relation presented from my right as compensation, which I would say claims the interest on it, especially presented and segmented by my mail account at this entire process that is closed. We delivered this, and we did much more than expected. And then we'll check that we have on mind that this environment, for instance, can change the law or the application of the law to do not suffer a punishment, to have proof considered not valid or something like this, but we are acting always by the Constitution. And after have this presented to the American, for instance, if you have all these failures as aggression, and then you change the law, saying that the violation of your social media is not a crime anymore, it's not a violation, I'm not hurting your privacy space or something like this. The Constitution has the opposite, just word on Article 12. You can do this in any situation. But indeed, sometimes people do not respect the Constitution. And we will use this to avoid the punishment by the decreasement of legitimacy as credit charged by a creditors committee holding a paper which contains the ambiguous pretension as all diverted money from this area by a budget, clustering them all on it, because it's an instrument for financial control. With signatures, banks, all workflow list is on it. And we get this, of course, that will choke very seriously the paramilitary mobilization ongoing. Spreaded, dispersive, but ongoing. With a central command, it's integrated as a paramilitary system, with communication, physiological level as finances and transference, clandestine storage of oil and energy. We will check that our Constitution has the speech on Article 35 that the law can hurt the legal act that is presented. It's the case of this housebound and this compensation. If you create a new law or a ministry have a decision that is considered a law, in some crazy areas goes like this. It will impact this financial paper and all evidences, because it's right as compensation solid. The consolidation indeed already happened, and you can change this as a fact. You can change this. You can claim, you can invent all circumstances, keep telling the big lies, but you can't change the fact. It's on your Constitution. Take a look. Article 5, Clause 35. Take a look at the Clause 36 in the same way. It's especially this. The law will hurt the right after the consolidation of this right. Copy. Then the Article 35 is saying that the law will deny the judicial analysis about something that indeed is already offered. So, but it helps to understand the kind of people and conjuncture we are dealing with, since we had our model from positive one, regular area with corruption, internal negative one, loss of integrity and loss of capacity even to do the accountability with transparency, with criminal motivation that can be presented as the construction of the law or the violation of all things, preparing a situation to put a company down, a citizen down, research down, take advantage of this. And going by consumer, of course, that the violation has by the consumer law and our Constitution on Article 5, Item 5, 5 in Clause 9 and 13, and 22, and acting by Article 4, Item 9, you can avoid this right as compensation, especially after the delivery to be under the analysis of the judicial system in America that will apply the law if considered that the American interest exists on it as the security system from Security Forum Brazil USA extending even by NATO, by the second nationality as Portuguese that I have, and the institutional dialogue will request the quiz as question on our blog, GSS Euro 2022, trace April.blogspot.com, to understand how the institutional corruption can supply all physiological needs as pandemic crime, integrating transnational organized crime, even by failure of states, setting the pandemic, the mobilization in global scale as paramilitary. And the ionic central command or purpose can impact all states, threatening we all. This is for sure the cultural destruction by the essence of state as defense, and the institutional arguments that has clause and a social contract by constitution, and these threats indeed is against the constitutionalism. Any question? I bet you don't. And you can explain your frauds, lies, aggressions, even change the law, because it's a fact. The compensation and the charge codified by all money diverted from public budget Brazil since 1988 until 2022, doing the projection as preventive control from 2028. All workflow list is there. See? Have a nice weekend.